Detail of the first budget from the state's new treasurer. For weeks, the government's been setting the scene for deep cuts to spending, and today it's slashed what it calls the back rooms of government departments. At the same time, it's plunging further into debt to fund its $5 billion election promises. Guy Stayner looked at how today's budget will affect Victorians.
Sally and Gary Miller and their two young children are a typical Melbourne family.
A big one, alright. Oh, look out.
Like tens of thousands of Victorians, they live in Melbourne's ever-expanding western suburbs, and Gary catches the train to work. While they'd like to see a mooted upgrade to Sunshine Station, it's these level crossings they find infuriating. The rail lines carry metropolitan trains, V-line passenger trains and freight trains that can stretch for kilometres. While drivers wait, the trains roll on and on and on.
There's two rail lines across there, a freight train as well as the country line, so sometimes you can be sitting at those stops for 40 minutes.
Both of the Andersons Road crossings stall the Millers' journey to the local hospital, where baby Jack has checkups on a hip condition. The road is indicative of a rapidly expanding Melbourne, with infrastructure struggling to keep pace with urban growth. The government says it's committed to the regional rail link, but still won't say when it will be built, and hasn't provided any money for it in this budget.
Very disappointed. It's something that needs doing, and it's been on the cards for quite some time. The Sunshine Station needs a major upgrade. If it is growing that quickly, the infrastructure needs major upgrades if it's going to be able to support that growth.
There's $64 million to upgrade level crossings around the state, but the Millers will have to wait on Andersons Road.
The priority for this budget was to stabilise the debt.
Wisely, they've highlighted the importance of improving Victoria's productivity performance as the key to the state surviving this particularly challenging period that's ahead of it. They emphasise in the budget papers that compared with the late 1990s, Victoria's productivity performance has slipped quite markedly over the past decade, and turning that around is, I think, really the key to improving Victoria's economic prospects over the medium term.
GST revenue from the federal government is down, and Victoria's floods have also affected the bottom line. The floods are estimated to cost $676 million, with $200 million of recovery money spent this financial year. The Coalition's first budget has actually increased debt, with the government needing to fund its election promises. The Treasurer says debt will now stabilise.
Victoria's debt levels have been increasing over the last couple of years, largely reflecting the previous government's desire to spend more on infrastructure spending, but they're low by historical standards and very low by international standards.
The debt reduction campaign is based in part on an interim report from three economists, which called for a shake-up to managing the state's finances. They say government spending must be slashed and debt reduced over 10 years.
The Vertican report suggested that it be about 0.5% of gross state product. The figures here show that it's going to be about 1%. So we see there as being an improvement in the infrastructure spending, and it's going to be extended across the rail networks, across trams, across transport generally.
But with the government's anti-debt policy, it's likely future projects will be funded by cost savings, and that means cutting services.
I can't see how else it can be done, because the suggestion is that they want to increase significantly infrastructure spending on roads and bridges and the like, at the same time as they want to fully fund it out of the operating budget. Now, if they're going to do that, you've only got two ways of doing it. You can increase taxes. Government says, nope, that's not for them. They're interested in lowering taxes. Alternatively, you have to cut expenditures on health, on education and the like.
Additional savings of $600 million over 4 years are already being spruiked, with the largest cuts in health and education. The school start bonus of $300 will be cut from 2/3 of eligible families, but the government has increased funding to non-government schools. No frontline jobs have been cut in this budget, but the writing is on the wall. The budget outlines strategies to make the public service more efficient, transparent and responsive. The government wants to outsource service delivery and has flagged market testing.
Not only does it mean job losses for hard-working public sector workers, but it means services to the public are going to be cut drastically.
This was always going to be a difficult budget to balance, not so much balancing the books as balancing the politics of delivering a surplus while meeting Victoria's growing infrastructure needs. It's a difficult tightrope to walk.
It's tough, isn't it?
And the pain of cuts to fund future infrastructure investment remains on the horizon. Just like Sunshine families stuck in traffic, we'll have to wait.